Hello, lovely people of the internet. Tis I,
Hello.
Elemental P, here with the Holy Spackle. Sorry we were taking a minute there to get started. We were yakking about some personal shit backstage. It's none of your fucking business.
Life
So,
happens, guys. Life happens.
yeah, yeah. But you guys know we're always so professional here. So I'm
Yes.
sure you were expecting us to start right on.
This is why we make the big bucks.
This is why we get paid the big bucks. Howdy, howdy to spooky bed hairs out there. We have
He's
Luke
everywhere you want to be.
58 tonight. He is everywhere you want to be, and sometimes places you don't.
Hello, hello, hello.
So yeah, we're having an interesting evening. I'm in like a weird mood this week. I realized it yesterday.
I feel like I've
It's
been weird after my near-death experience. Like I've just been kind of weird in general. And for better or worse, like bolder, kind of a little more bolder than usual.
question.
Mhm.
You labeled it a near death experience. Was it like an NDE in that like did you have like an out of body experience at
Oh
all?
no, 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 no. My heart never actually stopped all the way. Like it would just it would drop so low and they're like, "Oh no," and they'd like shoot F and Efren up and like it'd be like, "I'm fading away." It was like that. I'm like I felt like I was dying, which I was.
You
So,
almost did, yeah.
yeah. But it was weird. It was unique. It wasn't like feeling faint or when you're really tired. It was like literally feeling like you're slowly fading away. It was really weird. It was a little uncomfortable, So
Sounds
it's weird. I
uncomfortable.
I I feel it's the weirdest side effect, and I don't know what to make of it. But I've been less depressed since. The weirdest side
You
effect, I
know,
I don't know.
I've heard that from other people who had the more like quote unquote stereotypical, I would say like near death experience where they had like, where their heart
Hmm.
stopped, where they like went into cardiac arrest or whatever. And it's like almost like a renewed lease on life. Um, but then also like I've heard people where it's like that was not like that. And yeah.
I feel less afraid of death now, which is really weird. And I feel a little less frozen right now, and a little more decisive of what I want, which is all good, right? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the good stuff. But yeah, I was sorry. I just was thinking about the weirdness and how it's a little bit different now, and I was like, huh. So
Yeah. You're a slightly different person now.
soon I'll be obnoxious. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, come on, you're already obnoxious. That's why we love you.
Yes.
That's why we love you. You know what I was thinking about this
Hmm.
week? I was like, we need to come up with, well, actually, I talked to you a little bit about this because we discussed it in that um I wanted like a reading to like open the stream with every week, but like I don't also at the same time, like I don't want to like traumatize people with like, um religious trauma and stuff.
Well, like a reading of one of the books.
It, it not one of these books. Not, you know what I mean? It would
Hmm.
have to be a reading of something else. And well, I so we did discuss having a reading of Kevin Sorbo's Twitter feed. Just for
Yes,
fun.
yes. That's always
I-
fun.
Here's the thing. He's kind of even more gone off the deep end lately. And I did actually look over his Twitter feed this week and I was like, not fun. Like, what the?
He's
Like, this used to
he,
be fun.
he's that bad, huh? He's not even fun anymore.
Uh, like, dude.
Gosh,
So, I don't
Kevin,
know.
get it together. So Kevin Sorbo, if you don't know,
Stop.
is Hercules. That's Hercules
That's,
in the 90s.
that's Kevin Sorbo. That's the meme.
And
That
Kevin is
doesn't
an
put him.
old Kevin's in like tons of Christian movies, like Kirk Cameron. I think Kevin Sorbo is in the really dumb one where the professor's like prove there's a God. God's not dead. And then when he's dying, they're like, do you
The
accept Jesus?
professor.
And he's like, yes. Because there's no atheists in foxholes.
Because there's no atheist in foxholes.
Yep.
Yes,
So,
I think he's the professor in that. And
yep.
God is not dead or
Yeah,
something.
it's got a very manipulative, weird ending in
He's a manipulative, weird guy.
the end. And when people said that's manipulative, they're like, but his soul could have gone to hell. Like, oh my gosh. But
I could it? Could it really? I think that's a difference of opinion, people. That's kind of what it comes down to.
so who's here today? Let's see.
I so far I see Spooky and Sandy in the chat. I think we're allowed to
Hello.
say that it's Sandy.
Oh,
I
I
I
I
thought that
don't
it
know.
was.
It's like
I don't know. Let
now
me
we
know
get
if
it.
I'm allowed to say Defluke because for a while I was like not, and then
Maybe we have to beep that part out now. Look what you did. I'm
I
kidding. I'm
can.
kidding.
Not that
Sorry.
I actually have to go back and edit a bunch of not videos for this, but okay, cool.
People know me
I
as
remember
Deidre, so it happens.
people know me as Ella.
People know you as Ella. Ella Enchanted.
Yeah, yes.
I
Um, my name isn't actually Minnow P, but
am shocked. And I bet you're like surprised that I'm not holy or spackle. So there's
you
that.
lied to me. You lied. Um,
Oh, it's terrible.
yeah.
I love it when
So,
Final Minutes go unholy spackle. I'm like, ooh.
I mean, I don't like. I I remember that you like got someone gave you the nickname. It wasn't like you like anointed yourself holy.
Yeah, so it was a joke. So like
So you're a
uh,
peacekeeper.
it was Gus Bellinger who passed away who nicknamed me. He said, "There you go again, smoothing things over. Smooth, 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 smooth. Oh, my theology has some cracks in it. Smooth, 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 smooth. Oh, people are fighting. Smooth, 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 smooth." Because Gus liked to fight, and I tended to like to have a discussion until it jumped the shark, and then I'd fight. I didn't start with the fight. But yeah, and so that's where it came from. It was a joke, and I said, let's lean into it because like I don't. I think one of the mistakes people make on the internet is they take themselves too seriously,
I agree.
and to be able to be teased like that and just say, yeah, okay, I'll use that as my name, you know. And he meant it like not in a super mean way, but he was kind of frustrated because I think he was mad that I cock blocked him in the sense that not in a literal sense, but in the sense like in the debate where you want to go after someone and start chewing on them. And I kind of ran in and kind of slowed it down a little bit, and I think he was teasing me. I think that was what initiated it, actually. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I okay, so he was teasing you, but also like that's not like necessarily like a bad aspect of your personality because that is true. Like that's you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing, but there are some that are just hopeless cases. You can't smooth. So I've learned a
I
little bit.
that's another thing that I was just gonna say that's another thing that fucking happened to me this week. Was I got so here's in that conversation, and I did go back to it. I in the first part of it, I regret coming at it the way that I did because I was like, oh, like that's how you want to play. We'll play that way, and
Mm.
I regret doing that. And in retrospect, looking back on it, it's like, oh, if I hadn't done that, but I still
Yeah, well, sometimes there's a time to throw down, and there's a time to be diplomatic, and you just have to judge what time that is. But there's some people that are just kind of the hammer, and there's some people that are generally softy, so it kind of just depends on the person, and I'm a little of both. I mean, you can see me
hold on.
fight with like like Shanny for Christ, somebody that's truly an awful person and a child abuser that hides behind God, you know. And
Here,
yes,
come at him.
you know, or Megan, who's another one that like is absolutely ridiculous. But like it's one of those things where if you're in the know, you're in the know, and if you're not, you're gonna be like, well, Spackle, you're a bully. so so I'm a
You're an
little bit
evil
of light dark.
narcissistic monster.
I'm an evil narcissistic monster.
Monster.
I
I think the
honestly,
monster was the one that I took like the most offense to in that.
you monster, not the gumdrop button. like
Me? I've been
like
called evil. I've been called narcissistic. I think that that's like that just comes along with like being on YouTube, and like
there's a time
having an
sorry.
ex-spouse. No, just go
True.
ahead.
Aunt Jer says there's a time to smooth and a time to throw down. Ecclesiastes something something. That is one of my favorite books of the Bible, actually. You know, a time for
I,
war, a time for peace.
I mean, you're right though. Like that's it's a good one. It's a good one.
Meaningless, meaningless. All is a chase in the wind.
What I I don't know what citrus is in reference to. What did I miss something?
I don't
Look
know,
at
but
here.
citrus is important to avoid scurvy. Hi, Maya. Maya gets a song.
Didn't he say you're twice his age though? Who?
Twice my age.
Oh, slightly more mature than Titan.
Who's slightly so spooky?
Yes.
Listen, I'm not shy about my age.
I don't know how old they are.
I am 47 and I'm unfiltered right now. There you go. And I'm gray. Fight the
Okay.
patriarchy.
I was bragging about earlier that's like I look like I just have like natural highlights in my hair, but that is what happens to redheads when we go gray.
And I am actually truly silver.
It's okay. I do surprise people when I tell them my age. So like I like that.
Yeah, that's always a nice thing. If you can have the fountain of youth for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna last. And I think it might
I'm
be
afraid
like
of the
partly
dreaded
just because
50.
of the yeah. I do kind of dread 50. I feel like I'm not going to by the time I get there though. But
I
I don't know.
feel like there was a big jump from 2020 to now. And so like that was like, whoa, okay, So
And I think
and
for
yeah,
everyone, whatever stage you were in before
exactly. Yeah.
6 years ago, like and that's maybe just gonna affect us all a little bit more. But yeah.
Titan's got like
Yes,
chameleon
exactly.
hair.
Go from dark red to a strawberry blonde.
Interesting.
And it just one day it's silver. That's my uncle is a very tall man, and I'm gonna tell like a very abbreviated version of the story, but he had his secretary was like setting up an appointment for him to meet somebody in public there, someplace. And the person on the phone was like, "Oh, like how am I gonna know?" This is like back in the 90s, it was like you didn't
It
have
was the
pictures.
90s.
Well, and people didn't just have like pictures. You couldn't look up a picture of somebody on the internet kind of thing. So he was like, "Hey, how am I gonna know who this guy is?" And the secretary, my uncle overheard his secretary say this, and he was like, "What the? Okay, fair." But he said that, that she told him, "Oh, you can't miss him. He's 6'2", and he used to be a redhead.
And so look for the guy that used to be a redhead.
He used to be a redhead.
I would assume that means he's gray and red.
That's it.
Excuse
It's
me.
light red. Like that's what it meant. It was like it's you can tell that it used to be red, but it's mostly gray now.
Yeah.
Like he was like taken aback, but then he was like accurate. All right. I'm not a current redhead anymore. I'm a used to be a red.
Used to be red.
Yeah. You're a calico? That sounds interesting. I have met people who are like that before, who have like, or they'll have like one.
Yeah, the streak, the rogue streak.
Mhm. Isn't that weird how that works?
Yeah.
Get like a weird recessive gene or something.
I mean, I started with Doctor Strange, you know, that's where I started, as my temples went gray first.
Mine was more like Maya Angelou. That's what I was like, that's who I channeled anyway. Oh, I forget to load up the slides? I did forget to load up the slides. It's okay.
Oh no, chaos.
Chaos.
I thought they were permanently in there. Sorry.
It's okay. I just did it. It's like 2 clicks. I did give you control. You should know.
I know I'm on my phone instead of, well, it's one or the other. If you want me on camera, I'm on my phone right now. And if you want me to do like production stuff, I gotta be on my computer.
It's okay.
For now.
We don't really bother with that much production stuff. I don't know if you noticed. Maybe someday. I keep thinking, like, in the back of my mind, I always have like, oh, if I have time this week, I could like set up some stuff like in OBS to like make this easier for us, make this a little this camera layout a little bit better.
You and I are both completely capable of it, and you and I both have procrastinated on our channels about that. But it is like we are capable of it. It's just a time thing.
I Yeah, school has been taking priority this semester, and you know what? I'm gonna let it. Like, okay, but yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens. That's why we're not this. That's why the wall has just stayed a red wall. Like I got 3 coats of paint on it. It's basically red now. That's a stopping point, you know? Eventually, we'll
Hi,
get the next stages on it.
hi, Geo Sam, born a ginger.
Geo Sam.
He was born a ginger.
It says it on your birth certificate.
I don't remember that on my birth certificate. I had weight on my birth certificate. I was a nice 7.5 pounds. That's pretty nice, you know? Not too huge, not too little. Not so
I
little I
was
could cartwheel out.
I was a giant baby.
10 pounds.
Yeah, over 10 pounds.
I'll feel great knowing you probably permanently damaged your mother's muscles and pelvic
Definitely.
floor.
Like she also broke me, so whatever. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
make it out unscathed either.
Fair game.
My poor collarbone. Um, I didn't ask to be born. All right.
No,
Not
neither
that I don't want to hurt her.
none of us asked to be born, yet somehow we were. Like, but the Mormons believe we're spirit babies, and our spirit babies are like, "Go time, let's go." We just don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. They believe that we did ask to be born.
And then
I
like
don't believe that.
how I don't know how Mormons explain all the sperm racing to the egg, and like if one happens to get there before the other, then would you be a different spirit baby? So do all the spirit babies go, "I'm ready to go," and they all get a chance in the lottery? And if
I
their
can answer
sperm
that for
win,
you. I think in a second after I respond to Titan's comment about, okay, this is going to sound weird, but I too was born with thick black hair. And then it all
mm,
fell out and it turned red.
that is so weird when kids have like a full head of hair, like hardcore, and then all of a sudden it's like goodbye.
And it was like straight, like very like straight, like stick up, like straight hair, straight black, thick hair. And it fell out. And now it's like red textured, like wavy hair. I don't know. Very different.
Spooky says his hair was white as a kid. Do you mean like a toe head? Like that's what they call it here. It's kind of rude, but but like where you're just so super blonde. They call it towhead. You never heard that before?
I have heard that, but I was like, never heard you say that.
Is it rude? I don't know. Like
Think
I never
about
really thought.
it.
Well, I don't believe he looks like a toe. I just mean I just mean that he's very, very light blonde. So,
All
jeez.
right, moving on. Yeesh.
Spooky can handle it. He's tough.
Okay, that's true. Spooky is tough, but still. Should we
He'll
go with
he-
this?
he'll just run over to another chat and be like, "I was just called a towhead by Speckle. What a jerk."
Right? You know he will too. That's better. No, that's not better. I thought it would be better. It's better on the one. It's not better on both. This is the other thing that we need to spend some time doing is like figuring out the layout that's like the best layout.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to this until I like figure out what slide we're on it at least.
Yeah. It was like truly, truly white. Oh wow, that's interesting.
You
I don't
really?
think I've seen that. I've seen kids that turn white from stress, that they don't start that way, but like trauma can make them like turn gray. But I've never seen anybody that's like really white to start with. That's interesting.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. It was the doesn't matter. It was the wrong. It was the first set. I was like, where did we stop? Because I thought I put a bookmark. I did. It's there. We stopped at 5. And then we literally got back to the same point that we were at
Yes.
the
So
10th
we're not
time.
going to recap this week.
We're
We're
not
moving forward.
recapping. If you want a recap of the first 5 that were in here, the orange papers. I didn't put the fucking link in the thing. That
Dude,
link still works. If you need help for substance abuse or alcohol addiction, the link that's up there that it looks like I'm pointing to, the QR code, that one still works, but I didn't have the other ones in the description this week because I'm fucking lazy. I had so many exams this week, but I did well on them. So
the only reason I'd be on that island is to set fire. I'm just saying. That's the only reason to be on there.
with the toe,
Like now I really am confused. I don't even know. I don't. Uh, it's a it's a flavor that I like. It's a well. Then that's less insulting. It's the same fibers from Hanford flax. It's not even an insult. It's not even about the big toe.
I think it's still insulting.
Why? Strawberry is not insulting.
Okay, seriously, the amount of times that I got called like carrot top and shit. I think strawberry probably was insulting at some point.
Carrot
And
top.
gingers just
There's
get over shit, so
I don't know why carrot top is more offensive than strawberry. Strawberry sounds cute. And you're like, oh, a strawberry. You think of strawberry shortcake and stuff, you know? I mean, carrots, you're like, carrots aren't cute. I don't know why people get mad about carrots. Like, it's in Anna Green Gables. She's so mad that Gilbert Blythe called her carrots that she took her slate and busted it over his head and yelled,
I remember
"Carrots!" Yep,
I
it's
remember that.
it was fantastic. It was
Um,
fantastic. I love that part.
yeah, I think that's great that my parents like got that on VHS for me to play as a kid. As if I wasn't already like bullied enough for being a ginger
But
outside of the home.
but I mean, Anne is like a I think she's a ginger hero. But I really felt like I always felt like when I read the Anne books, Anna Green Gables, that Anne was a kindred spirit using her phrase. And so like I always felt like she's the tough tomboy that takes the dare, that goes that goes and and walks the rooftop, and they're like, oh, and then she falls and sprains her ankle and then has to go through the haunted forest with her friend. And then she's like dramatic if I die kind of like thing. And I don't know, Anne's just so fun. You should reread it. You might get a different
I
perspective.
found Anne to be like overly fucking dramatic.
Yeah, and it's great. It's hilarious. She's precocious.
I was like, see, but that was like kind of like the opposite of like my experience as a tomboy was just like stop like fucking like trying to draw attention to yourself, just like fucking chill.
Mm. She's dramatic in the sense like
Just chill out.
catastrophizing to make things smaller kind of way. That's like a actually a coping technique, and she's dramatic in the sense that like drama and like the things that she's read and is like sort of like an adventure and romantic and stuff like that. And so she's like building it all up and is like that, but she's not dramatic in the I'm too weak to do something. Please help me. You know?
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Maybe I need to reread it. I think maybe it's, I as a kid's perspective was different than
maybe. Yeah, maybe. I liked Little Women later than before. So
okay. Okay. But
Big Red. That was like a really great
I'm
chewing
big.
gum back in the days.
Uh, I'm big red.
There's always fire.
Yes,
You
it
cannot
was that one.
assume that unless you know. You can't
Oh,
assume that.
they do anyway.
Freaking jerks.
There was the thing that happened like a few years back that I found like really fucking touching.
Hmm.
And I want to just explain that like as a ginger, I found this really touching. I'm not like trying to like make any comment about like any like minority groups or anything. But there was this like trend that was going around on TikTok that was like black people explaining why like gingers are black. And it was just like
It's got to be a joke, right? It
obviously
has to
like
be a
it
joke.
was a joke. Like it was a joke, but like also like there was like this like level of sincerity in it with like these black women who were like, look, like you've been like weirdly over sexualized from like a young age. Like you had like likely people like did not know how to like use the right hair products or the right like skincare products for you or like and like all kinds of shit that it was just like this like so fucking validated. And, like, obviously it's a joke, but, like, the
Okay.
fact that it was just, like, somebody was like, "Look, we see you." It was just like, "Thank
I've
you."
always had
Thank
a
you.
soft spot for gingers. I've always thought they were kind of cute and like I never really got why people really made fun of them because I was like, someday when they grow up, like I just knew someday they grow up, you're gonna change your mind. And that's true. That is really true.
I don't know. I don't know if it's true. Also, people are, like, different about, like, guy gingers, which is weird to me.
Yeah, there is sexism about guy gingers. You're right.
I've noticed that, but yeah.
Meanies.
I did like Pippi Longstocking and Annie a little bit more.
I love Pippi.
I was not big on, like, Anne of Green Gables.
I am Pippi Longstocking, hope and a hay and a sha-na-na. So I liked the original dubbed Swedish version of Pippi, which I know they're books too because I've read them, but like because they're kids books. But I also like the Swedish version because that Pippi's just so great. And there was this one, I'm gonna say a word that's sometimes a bad word. There's this one where she goes to a mannequin and she goes, "How do you do?" And the mannequin is like mannequining and she's like, "How rude!" And she thought it was a person. She accidentally pulls the arm off and is like, and then somehow I think she offers to pay. I'd like to buy this arm, and then she gets ran out of the store or something. But I remember that somehow she got into a hollow tree and couldn't get out, and then Tommy and Annika had to rescue her, and she's
The
waving
arm?
her arm out the tree, and then she keeps saying spunk, 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 because she thinks she like invented a word, and so like that's her word, and then like obviously we know that word means something else these days, but but it was so funny at the time. I remember as a kid remembering that, and I liked the pirate one a lot too. So
Yeah.
clearly, it made an impression on me. So, who wants to fly their bed or make an airplane out of crates? I mean, come on.
That does sound kind of cool, but
Or stick glue on your feet and dance on the ceiling.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the coolest.
Except for the fact that it never worked. I think that that was like the frustrating thing for me as a kid. It was like it's
You
so
would try it and like, damn it.
no, it was like it's such obvious bullshit. I like couldn't, I couldn't suspend my disbelief. I was a lot of times I was like far too literal as a child, which looking back
Yeah.
on it now, it's like,
That's a
maybe
on
that
the
did have a
spectrum
touch of
thing.
autism.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But no, nobody like wanted to take that as a clue, right?
Oh, you didn't know it was dub, so you were like, they were like, "Bup, bup," and you were like, what is going on? Is it out of sync? Like,
That kind of shit. Yeah. That shit bothered me as a kid. Yeah. There's like a lot of stuff that I like look back on it now and I'm just like, yeah, y'all probably should have known.
oh gosh, I loved putting glue and peeling and
Now
stuff.
that you could do, that shit worked. So yes, I don't see my nieces and nephews as much now, but I am kind of like that aunt that's maybe not a great influence. But see, I had that uncle and I survived.
And for shock value, you'd like run the needle through your finger and be like, ta-da! Like,
That wasn't a big one for us because like my mom was like diabetic, so we just had like
no,
needles laying around all the time. So, which also weirdly you would think that like that. I think that my mom was like afraid that like having needles around would like make us like predisposed to like being
phobia.
IV drug users. It kind of did
Oh,
the opposite, where it's just like we don't like it. It literally is just like bio waste. Like that's just like that's a poke hazard, is what that
that
is.
that's an interesting thought. Like I would never think about it that way. Heroin is not the same as insulin, just so you know.
Right?
However, my
Watching my
youth
mom
pastor,
inject insulin is not going to like predispose me to like inject myself with heroin. Like,
so my youth pastor, Pastor Matt, I was in high school. We were on a trip, and he was in the McDonald's bathroom, and he was injecting insulin, but he didn't have one of those pens. I guess it was an actual syringe. And
yeah, that's what my mom
somebody
did.
and somebody like reported him as using drugs. And it was like all this drama, and we're like, no, he's our youth pastor, and he doesn't use drugs. He's diabetic. We know, and it was actually we noticed like he was getting low, and we are like, he started talking weird, and we're like, Matt, are you low? like the high
Yeah,
schoolers called it out.
yeah. My mom was the same. She get a little silly, like a little low. But yeah, that's my mom would like a lot of times like try, and it's I think it's silly to like even have to like go into the bathroom, like.
Yeah.
But
No,
I told you
it's
about the time that we got a
it's
strike
kind.
on what?
It's kind to do that though for people that have a phobia of it and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like maybe don't do it like directly in eyesight, I get kind of
Mm,
thing. But like my mom would do it like at like the restaurant, but she would do it like a little bit like under the table, like that
yeah.
kind,
Yeah.
that kind of. But we did get when we used to stream on Twitch, we got a strike one time, which it was like they gave us like a 24-hour ban, and we like we would stream
Because
once a week, so it
someone
was like
used
whatever.
insulin.
They so it wasn't for that. It was for she checked her glucose. She checked it. She used her monitor to check it. And
The
she
monitor
to
will
check her
cause a
finger
strike?
because she poked her finger and made herself bleed. They considered it like self-harm.
Someone reported that. The algorithm's not going to catch that. Someone
Yeah.
reported it.
Yeah. But the
Ridiculous.
fucking algorithm like fucking upheld it. They're like, "Oh, yeah, you're stabbing yourself." Like, yeah, she's not harming herself. She's monitoring her blood glucose.
Wow. Get a grip, YouTube. Get a grip.
Right? It's like, okay. It wasn't YouTube though, it was Twitch. Which
All right,
was
are we going to get into it?
number 5. We did start on this one last time, I think.
Yeah, I think we
I think
went
this
through
is
all the
kind of what we were.
fives.
Did we go through number 5?
I thought so.
Okay. We go through all of this.
I don't recall. I don't recall that slide.
I don't even remember when I put this shit together, like what all I put on it.
Every
I
day's a
do.
surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Every stream is a surprise. So, yes, I remember putting the slogans on it because, like, these are some of the ones that are just like, they fucking drill them into our heads. All right. Without AA, it's amen.
What?
Yeah, because it's the only way. Fucking
Without
only way.
it's amen. Like
As in, you're dead. Like, it's
that
over.
is that doesn't even make any sense.
So like at the end of the prayer, you say amen.
I know, but it still doesn't make any sense.
It
Because
doesn't really.
amen is an agreement. It's not necessarily, and you're dead.
Yeah. AA is
Just
the
saying.
last stop on the track or on the train. I tried everything before AA. Did you really? Did you try smart recovery? Did you try medical intervention? Did you try? There's a link up there for all kinds of things that you can try before AA. Only another alcoholic will understand. You know what? You might be right about that, but is another alcoholic going to like help you get that? Like okay, that might be someone that's good to like commiserate with for a little bit. You know, um,
I think another alcoholic can encourage you and stuff like that, but the way that they have it set up for mentorship is kind of a recipe for disaster.
absolutely. Yeah. Did you try therapy? And did you try non AA therapy? Because I think a
Well,
lot of people like think AA is therapy.
well, the weird thing is like AA teaches you like that alcohol is the disease itself. But really, alcoholism is a symptom almost always. Like sometimes people are just dependent because they party hard, but that can happen. But a lot of people are dependent because they started drinking because they had anxiety and they need to cool down at night every day after work, and it moved from one to six. Or a lot of people, it's a family cycle, and they started drinking at 13 or something. Like there's all sorts of like reasons behind it, but like it's not necessarily always the alcohol itself that was the cause, and they don't really address things that a therapist would, I think, address.
Well,
So
they just say, "Oh, well, the cause of it is that you have this inborn alcoholism, and
like sin,
whether you became an alcoholic or an addict, or you would be something. You would be have some type of addiction
addiction. Yeah,
that
well,
you would
you hear the
have."
term addiction, addictive personality. You hear that term a lot,
That's what they
addictive
say.
personality.
Is you just have an addictive personality. You were born with an addictive personality and you just will be an addict. And like that's just whether you're an alcoholic or an addict or an emotional addict or whatever, any of the 12 step programs. I need to remember to pop that slide in here in this pack. But yeah, it's just like it's so ridiculous that like my ex, I remember one of my exes, again, I feel bad that I kind of like got him into the program and shit. And when he like went back to drinking, immediately went back to like drinking a 6 pack a night because, oh, well, I'm an alcoholic. I may as well, you know?
Wow.
And it's just, it's not healthy. Not
Not
healthy.
healthy and it's expensive. And I'm always fascinated about the functional alcoholics because that's really hard to pull off.
Oh, I
Like,
meant like the program is not healthy, but yes. Um, yeah, alcoholism is not healthy by far. And I think that a lot of people realize that the alcoholism is not healthy, but they think that like, oh, well, the only other option, you know.
is jail, institutions, and death.
That's the last one on here, yeah. If you don't work the program, then your other options will be jails, institutions, and death. Work the steps or die. It's our way or or the die way, which is I've heard that one before and it doesn't like work with people's accents around here, so I've always thought it was kind of a weird one. But I have heard people say that. You're not required to like it. You're only required to do it. And this is the one that fucking gets me about like 4 step to step 6 step. When it's like the humiliation ritual really kicks in. Um because it's like one of the things where they're like it can feel like you want to cry the whole time and like you're being violated and like you just have to like get up and endure it and like that's good for you. And they'll say this that you're not required to like it, you're only required to do it. And it fucking sucks. And it's just like a way for them to convince you to like keep going and keep coming back. Like convince you that it's good for you.
I mean, there's a
Um
lot of things that we do that we force ourselves through that we don't like. I might not like to go to work every day, but I force myself through. But
sure.
it's also like a cop out in a way. It's like if you don't like something here, you still have to do it, and we're not going to change it. Like,
Okay,
you know.
but also here's the other thing is if you are going to work and you feel like you want to cry the entire
Mhm.
time that you're at work, that it feels like everything in your body is telling you not to go, like
It might
you
be
need
that
to
you need a
change
new job.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're saying if you change jobs, jails,
you're gonna
institution,
die.
and death.
Yep. Um, and then the other one that's on here is only in giving do we receive in full measure, and that is the one that they like use a lot to sort of convince you that like, oh, you need to be giving back to the group. You need to be volunteering your time. You need to be spending all of your time basically doing the shit. And basically I kind of got away with like doing more like stuff that was like I said, I wrote for like the one publication that we did. I did some like secretary type stuff behind the scenes and then like I, I didn't have as much like in I also took care of like the coffee for like the one group and stuff. But then also I would always like get in trouble for being like, "Oh, well like that's not like all of your service work. Like your service work needs to be service work and not just like service work to like yourself." But it's like, "Okay, but like someone's got to get the coffee and like someone's got to like fucking edit all these articles and
Or set up
fucking
chairs or whatever. Yeah.
well, like I don't want to set up chairs. I don't want to set up chairs because that's when like everybody's fucking like chatting and like being a fucking annoying and shit. And like I don't, you know what I mean? But it's
Hmm.
like they want, they need you to like be there to like set up chairs so that you show that you're like doing your time.
So I don't mind that phrase except for how they're utilizing it. So like in the giving, it's on in giving that we receive. I don't know about only, but but that phrase is from the prayer of Saint Francis, the giving that receive. But there's like a whole other prayer where it's talking about like making you an instrument of light and all this stuff. But the thing is like I might agree in the sense that when you volunteer and give of yourself, you're outside of your own personal story, and it's actually generally usually healthy for most people. But I also think like I mean giving in general, and what I think they're trying to hint is giving to the group, and that's where I'm like, no, you know, like like giving to the Humane Society, yes. Giving to the group, no. You know what I mean?
And it's all giving to the group and it's all giving like power to this group. That's just like, and I don't know that there is really like so much of a point of the power besides that like somebody wants to be in power is kind of what I've realized over the years.
Well, I think there is, I've seen it in churches, there's a certain amount of ego being stroked when you're a leader of a group. Some
Yes.
people really get into it.
Yes. That's really what it is. Is it feeds people's ego. And it's
It's like sometimes the same people that want to be life coaches too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, life coaches. Don't get me started on life coaches. I could go on and on about them. Another series.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they kind of fit in with this, but yeah, it is a different we'll get to the next season, right? I think maybe next season we kind of expand and go into like a little bit more of some different,
Side
but yeah.
note, side note, one of my worst interviews, I used to interview a lot of people trying to build bridges, smooth, smooth, smooth. And I interviewed a fundamentalist named Roy, and about 8 or 9 minutes into that, he describes how he wanted to, how his wife said, I'm a lesbian and broke up with him on Valentine's Day.
So
And then
she's a
he,
lesbian, not you, but she is.
right, right.
Okay.
And then he said his first thought was, the newspaper's going to read man kills wife and child and turns gun on himself. And my jaw just dropped open. And then he's trying to use it as this like, then I found Jesus story. And I'm just like, is everybody safe? Are you okay now? Like, should I kill this stream right now? Well, like I was like just like in a panic, not knowing what to
Yeah.
do. And luckily it got better, but I remember like holding my breath, like I might have to kill this stream right now, and because it's psychologically disturbing. But I left it up. It is disturbing. I left it up because it kind of shows what a narcissist he was. And I always tell people when I interview you, like I'm gonna give you a softball friendly interview, but if you come out badly, it's all on you. And so like people are like, what a psycho, like what a narcissist. And
That's
like I have to say, it turns out he's a life coach now. Yep.
okay. So this run in that I had the other day was like so it was on somebody else's stream. Don't go looking for it here. It's not on this stream. I at one point I told you about I got handed the controls of this stream.
Absolute
And
power.
I no, that's the thing is I try to when that happens to like uphold what
Whatever
that the
the
stream
channel's values
owner
are. Yeah.
exactly what their values are. And so I was just like I felt like the channel owner normally would just let people go with shit a lot,
Hmm.
and it was just like I don't like
Where's the
and
line? And
yeah,
usually in some of those wild channels, like wild channels are sometimes fun because you get to argue with people sometimes, but at the same time, like if you always have to know where the line is, and if the person's unclear where the line is, it can get frustrating.
yeah. And that was it definitely went over that a couple of times where I had to like reel it back. It was so but I did want to I don't know if you saw the end, but it like went to like the 12-hour mark and I was like
That's too long.
he really wanted he kept saying that he was going to watch it back. And if you know anything about StreamYard, if you go past the 12-hour mark, it won't record, it won't save it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like let's do this.
Well,
And
that's
like
YouTube
let's cut
too.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was YouTube won't save the StreamYard.
Yeah.
Like you can keep streaming past 12 hours, but at that point, like YouTube will not save anything. Um,
If you were gonna stream long term pro tip, cut it off at 6 if you're gonna do a really long stream, which is really too long anyway. Cut it off at 6 so it breaks up into an increment anyway, and you could start another one.
yeah, because if you
Other,
run it exactly to 12 hours, it has to be like 11:59 or less. Yeah.
yeah.
But we cut it at like 11:56 and then stayed like on hang out with this guy for like hours. And just like and like try, and it's just like at that point I don't
It's a brick
like,
wall.
yeah, because if he's saying like, oh well, this is all like you're doing this for a performance, but like at this point like we've gone offline, nobody's, you know what I mean? It's just like
There's performance aspects in debate. Like I don't know if that was initially started as a debate stream, but in debate there is definitely like people would kind of tease me because I'd use a lot of rhetoric sometimes, but that is a debate tactic. It doesn't win the argument, but it wins the audience. So sometimes you can use rhetoric to kind of win the audience, but it's not necessarily a logical argument or anything like that. So that in sense it's performative. And then you notice that like a lot of the fundamental Christians get really mean sometimes, like they're just really like adversarial instead of like, hey, we are humans. And but then sometimes off stream they're suddenly friendlier and suddenly they're talking about comic books. And so like it seems like that happens quite a lot on streams where it's performative, so he's assuming that of you, but I know you off stream and on stream. I don't find you very performative. Like it's not something that I would like necessarily say. I think I'm a little more performative than you.
I see, and I don't know that I necessarily would be able to judge that of myself. So
Yeah.
I would more like leave that up to other people to like people who know me on it. You know what I mean? Like there's certain people in the audience who know me like IRL. You know, is this, you know, how perform, because I will say that this is a certain version of myself.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna like rip a fart and pick my nose like on on stream. I'm gonna,
Hmm.
probably try to think a little bit more about what I'm saying before I say it, because off stream I can say it and be like, no, wait, that didn't sound right. And like I know that you're not gonna like clip it. You know what I mean? Um, but I think for the most part, like, yeah, that's this is kind of who I am. But you're right, like people don't fucking know that. So
Right.
I don't know. We got through number 5 today. I was gonna read like, so on the right there's references to the literature, which is this. This is the literature. Um, where did my little big book go? I like the little big book. I got the I I still feel kind of bad. I spent $5 on this. It was used.
Wait, how
Um,
thick is that book? Okay. I'm
it's so
pretty
it's
sure the
the
Jehovah's Witnesses gave me a book about that size and that color. So that's what I was
so
wondering.
this is, I think that there's more in the current version of the big book. Now I have the special edition of the big book, and all of that is in here, but there's like the personal stories. But I feel like the
Mm,
personal stories are particular to the special edition. So I don't, this doesn't have like, it's not missing anything that is not in the big book. It's just that it's in tiny printing and tiny margins.
mhm. Oh, yikes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's little bitty.
Bring your own magnifying glass. Oof.
Right? But
Reminds me of the
it's
mini
so
Bibles.
it it was a mini, it's a tiny big book, and it was $5, and it was free shipping because the place that I was getting books for from school had it in, because I always look whenever I'm doing like when I'm buying used books, I'm like, okay, what else does the seller have that's,
Oh,
you know,
I get in trouble in used bookstores, especially if I travel. Oh my gosh,
is an
it's trouble.
online used bookstore. Yeah, it was bad. Which I'm not going to show this. I'm not going to show particulars, but I am going to show that there are, I don't know if you could see, people wrote their phone numbers in.
Their phone numbers? Oh my gosh. Hello. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Hi, is Julie there?
Ooh, awkward.
I got your name, or your name and number from a big book that I bought used online.
You think whoever like was selling it would have the graciousness to like either erase or like cover that up or something?
Yeah,
No.
but yeah. I kind of feel bad that I spent the $5 on it, but also it's so cute. And also, did I keep it out of somebody else's hands or did I make somebody else spend like money and give it to like the actual like general conference approved publishers? What did I do? Did I do a bad thing? It's too
No,
cute to be bad, right?
no, no. I mean, I read things that I disagree with all the time. Like it's part of understanding, how things are.
I guess that is true. I mean, I did already have. Okay, to be fair, the special edition of the big book is a shitty edition of the big book unless like you just like need a cheap version of it. The online one is better. Like just get the online one if you need it. But like it is I do think it's important to like actually go and read it. I do think that that's important. Like I was saying with like redeeming love, that's it's
We
like
still have to review that sometime. We just keep putting that off.
we will. We'll do it soon. I am being silly. I'm in such a weird mood this week. I think that that situation earlier this week just put me in a weird mood. I guess it was over the weekend, but yeah.
I don't, I
Okay,
don't.
okay. Now I get it. I thought you were asking me. That's why I was giving you the evil eye. I was like,
Oh, on the weird situation, I, I don't know how you feel, but there's two sides of me, the smooth, smooth, smooth side and the let's scrap and fight side. And that scrap and fight side is a little more performative, actually, if you want to know where the performative thing is, because it takes a lot of energy for me, actually. and
see,
and it's more because I think it's funny or I'm trying to make a
I'm the
point.
opposite. I like the opposite. I
Hmm.
will fucking if I get tired, I'll just fucking scrap and fight because like that's just like my instinct to go. But like I want to understand you. And so
Yeah.
like for me to like take the time and the patience and be like, okay, like please can you I know that like you hate me right now, but like can you please answer this question that I'm gonna ask you and please explain this again, even though you feel like you've already explained, like
Cordial debate or debating with somebody that's sort of like difficult, which is most fundamentalists, like
I
that's
do
one
love
thing. But when it jumps the shark and it's just a fight and they're like, "You monster!" That's when I go, "Ha ha ha," and I start to become kind of a troll because because like a troll with a point,
I
a
did a little
troll
bit.
a troll like a political cartoonist, like like I want to make my point, but I also am like lulls, like it turns into it, and it's just it depends on if the behavior can be like avoided, where it's like a scrappy fight versus a discussion or a heated discussion. A heated discussion I can do. When it turns into a scrappy fight, that's when I'm just like, that's funny, and my feelings are very detached from that, and that's probably why I'm not bothered by it. But yeah,
See, I
and
also
it,
get
it
detached
ceases
from
being
my
funny.
feelings.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like and I
yeah.
might say something funny, but afterwards I'll feel like I like showed my ass with my face. Like
Yeah, there is that risk of that. You're not necessarily being, the best arguer in that point, but there's a certain point where I just start to go, you know what? I
that
call it there's debate and there's the hockey ring. When it turns into the hockey ring or the octagon, well that's different. So
that's kind of where I felt like and then I laughed and then it was here I should go back. I'll go back to this and we'll talk about it briefly before we because I'm probably gonna cut it early tonight. It's a heck of a week. It's a really busy week, and I'll explain more on Thursday. But we will still have Thursday stream. Um,
we'll
but
always
yeah,
have
I would.
Thursday.
We'll always. I I left fairly early on. I was just like, fine, I'm out of here. And then I like someone asked me to come back, and I was like watching for a while, and from watching, realized that the person was autistic. I'm also autistic, and I was just like, okay, like this is like maybe like our autisms are butting heads, and then I did kind of feel bad for like
There's
being
different
such a
kinds,
dick.
kind of. Yeah. and
Yeah.
different strengths. Yeah.
There's all different flavors. Like all
Yeah.
different flavors. Yeah. All kinds of different flavor profiles, shall we say.
Like you can't pick up a Barbie and a Ken and be like, be friends and mash them together just because they're autistic.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just yeah.
Not how it works.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
Same with
And
ADHD.
there will be like a weird thing that does have a tendency to happen where the other neurodivergent people, like, we will find each other,
Yeah.
but
Just like
like
gay
we
people
will
find
find
each
each
other.
other on our own and it might go well together. Like that might work well. But if you try to like
Homeschoolers
put us
find each other
together,
too.
really?
Mm.
I didn't know that. Not a
I, w-
homeschooler.
I was a homeschool kid, and I've had many people go, were you homeschooled because of my behavior?" And I'm like, "Yes."
They just know.
Yeah, either that or missionary kid. And missionary kids and homeschoolers are like really similar.
So like one of my best friends growing up was a homeschool kid. Because again, I was an autistic kid who had no friends at school.
So your friend was a homeschool kid that wasn't in school. That's hilarious.
My best friend.
I think that's
My
awesome.
entire elementary school, most of high school. Yeah.
So homeschoolers usually are kind of beating to their own drum in some way. So
Yeah. I love it.
yeah.
I think yeah, I love that about you guys. But like it's not it's more than like you're beating to your own drummer. It's just that like you never heard the same drummer as everybody else and never like felt the need to listen for it.
There are certain things that public schools train you to do that like I didn't have. So like this is really weird. Like the copious amounts of paperwork you have to do for the government sometimes, you're kind of trained to do that in public school. Sign this, sign that, do this, that, and that. But when you're a homeschooler, like, not so much. Maybe a waiver from church here and there or something.
And so you never said like the Pledge of Allegiance?
No. So I learned the Pledge of Allegiance and I learned the Constitution. My mom made a bigger deal about the Constitution, and that's what I like memorized in the Bill of Rights. And then the Pledge of Allegiance was just sort of there. So while kids are saying the Pledge of Allegiance every day, like I read it and I remember the gist of it, but I probably don't know all the words still. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States in which it stands.
Oop, you
Something,
missed one.
something. Individual, indivisible
So it's the
for
United
all.
States of America.
And like, yeah, no.
You got most of it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon,
You got that part right.
watermelon.
Okay, and then to the Republic.
In which it stands. One,
What are we? We're
uno,
one.
one
We're what?
nation,
Yep.
uno
And
nation,
then and then we get an extra set of words that got added.
under God from the
And
50s,
then we're
right?
all together. So what are we? You can't break us apart. We are indivisible.
E pluribus unum.
With liberty and justice
Liberty and justice for all.
for all.
I prefer E pluribus unum from the many one, the
Yeah.
one that they wanted to get rid of. Seriously, E pluribus unum fit America way better than In God We Trust, in my opinion. And that's like what they're trying to kill right now in this country is from the many one. They're like, from the many, everybody's white. Like, that's not
Well,
how
and
it
that's I
works.
think that there's a lot of so we have this idea of like the melting pot, right?
Right,
Um,
exactly.
but the original idea of the melting pot like came from this poem and like that it's kind of like fucking racist by today's standards. Like it's not um and I think that the message of that still stands, but it's
Yeah.
not
Well, I think like culture and like diversity were not really subjects that were really popular during the Enlightenment yet. The Enlightenment was like the start of newer ideas, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I learned the word diversity from Sesame Street in the 80s.
Oh my
And so
God.
I'm gonna like
That's
say that
fucking woke.
Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers radicalized me.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers definitely radicalized me with 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 the mailman and like letting the mailman put his feet in the pool.
Yeah, that was like a big deal then, and like I really don't want to go back to those days. And there's a lot of people that want us to go back to those days.
You can't just skip those two words though. Like that's the other thing, Sandy, is it's like the whole thing about it is so fucking ridiculous. Like I get what you're saying about like, okay, skip those two words and it does make it better, but like it's still all fucking bullshit. But yes, Mr. Rogers was not he was considered radical back then. He wasn't radical though. Like the thing is it's like it's just like fucking like treating people with equality and respect and like
You know why Mr. Rogers gave you a creepy feeling? Because we know to watch out for particularly white men with kids. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Like
that don't have
we
white
are
men that don't have
programmed.
kids that
Right
want
men
to be
that don't
around
have kids
kids.
that want to be around kids. Yep.
Yep.
And so that's the fear, right? Is like, oh my gosh. And it was the weirdest thing. Like in Baptist church, we had a guy who was in college and he volunteered for the 5-year-old class to be one of the teachers. And some of the parents made a big deal because they were scared. They're like, why would he want to work with kids? And it's like the same reason like a woman would want to work with kids. And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, and like it's luckily a lot of churches now are doing like the fingerprint stuff and doing a background check before you work with kids, which I think is totally smart.
It absolutely, but like there's even I would say like in teaching, like it's so I think it's like something like 90%, over 90% of like teachers are women, and of that 10% they're mostly like high school teachers and they mostly
Yes.
like coach sports. It's a very like clean divide for like a
Hmm.
male for a man who graduates and gets a teaching degree for him to want to go into elementary school is like, oh, like, are you like wanting to get like a degree before you like work your way up into like admin? Is that what you're doing? Or like, why
Yeah.
do you want to teach elementary? Because like it's considered creepy. And it's like, it's weird to me that like that's, you know what I mean?
Well, it's because of the frequency of bad people, unfortunately. But
Yeah, but like, I,
there,
like one of my best friends, like basically like raised his nephew. And he's one of those people who's just like always been like really good with kids. Like ever since I've met him, I've been like, oh my God, this guy needs a job around kids. And like he has expressed to me before that like he is kind of like afraid to do that because he's afraid that like people will look at him like that. And it's like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, you
it's
know?
ridiculous, but I think it's a fear that's valid because of
Yeah,
how people
that's,
are.
I'm not saying it was invalid. I'm just saying, like,
Mhm.
yeah, like,
I knew somebody that was molested by, well, two people that were molested by their coach. One was a girl, and well, this is probably trigger warning. Sorry. One was a girl, and the guy. I'm not gonna get into details, but the guy was the coach. And that's the stereotypical thing you think of. But I know somebody else where the coach was a lesbian, and their parents never thought anything of it. Like nobody would have guessed it, kind of thing. And it's so like because it isn't in the mold, per se, because she wasn't out of the teacher wasn't out of the closet. Um, and so it's normal to stay the night at your teacher's house. Back in the days, like they didn't immediately think a same-sex teacher was a creeper. Now they might, but back then they didn't. And so it's like kind of an interesting change that's just happened recently.
like I'm not saying that there aren't like bad people who like get into the profession. Like I'm not like there are
Yeah.
like bad people who like get into the profession. I just it's not strictly men. It's
Yeah.
not and I'm not gonna like get into like my own personal experiences and shit
No,
on
no,
but like
it's both.
it's
Yeah.
um it, like yeah, that's and unfortunately it is a situation where like it's one of those careers that does particularly draw gross
Weirdos. Yeah.
weirdos. Which is like why it's relatively stringent background check for everybody
Hmm.
when they're getting jobs and like in some places aren't as good as others and like that could be like a
Yeah.
whole separate stream where I think that that shit is fucking ridiculous and we need to be more stringent about
Yeah.
shit but yeah
Um,
that's
I
yeah
think the other different thing that people sense about Mr. Rogers is Mr. Rogers is a nurturing man, and that's really unusual.
that's what I was gonna point out is
And
that I
some
think that
people
there
would
is
even find him a little effeminate, but that's because we've attributed nurturing with women. And
yes
so, he's very gentle and he talks about your feelings all the time, and it's okay to have your feelings. And these are really big feelings. And he talks about death, he talks about divorce. I mean, these are big, huge feelings where kids would go, I don't know how to handle this. And he talks about it. It's like, it's okay to be sad. It's okay. And that is still not something we see a lot with men in the public eye. And so it is a little bit like, that's different. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things
I
where,
I am thankful that I had Mr. Rogers to show me that like there are men like that in the world.
hmm
Um I we've talked about before that like I think my dad did his best. Both my parents I think that they up until recently did their best.
yeah, they have
Um
their tools that work with too and their
they had
baggage,
their tools
right?
that they used.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad did not have that like gentle nurturing side in his toolbox. And I think that that was maybe an important part of my development to recognize that, like, that's like men can be kind, nurturing, gentle humans. Like, they're not just rough and tough. And yeah, I think that that's important uh, for young girls and young boys and young non-binary people. But I think that it's I think for all genders for different reasons, you know.
hmm And I think for me, I was always looking for a father figure because my father figure absolutely was a monster. And he was in and out of the house. And when he was out of the house, things were better. And when he was in the house, things were awful. And I think for me, seeing Mr. Rogers, I was like, that's who I want as my dad. And there's this movie called Vanilla Sky, and it's got Tom Cruise. Heaven help us, but Tom Cruise is in it, and Tom Cruise is always Tom Cruise. But it's a thoughtful movie, and oh,
I have to
I
tell you
wanna,
a story about that movie when we get
if
off the
if you don't want the spoiler, you're gonna have to like beep boop up for a couple minutes. But at the end of the movie, it turns out he's constructed his reality based on things and pieces that he's been touched by, and his father figures like pieces of other guys in movies and books that he's touched by. So like for me, that would be Mr. Rogers or
also
I'm trying to think
spoilers. I think the
yeah.
movie's like 20 freaking years old. So like
Yeah, yeah. So like yeah, if you haven't seen
get
it,
over it.
yeah.
Okay, I'm not putting up a fucking banner.
But but like it's one of those things where it's like uh, I think it was like the Tequila Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird dad um and
Atticus Finch? Is that who it is?
Atticus Finch, and then also like Gary Cooper in High Noon, how he's brave and he faced down the bad guys even though he knows he's probably going to die and he's outnumbered in a losing fight, and the whole town abandons him, but he has to do the right thing because he's the sheriff. And
I don't know
310
who
to
it is.
Yuma is
Okay.
really similar that way in that storyline, where it's like
Okay.
you do the right thing and the brave thing, and you do your job and you be faithful, and but you might die, kind of thing. And there's some nobility to it, and there's bravery to it, and there's some things that people point to, but like he was like doing that. And as a kid, I was doing that in a way. I was leaning on Mr. Rogers. I had some really good youth pastors, and luckily they were good people. They weren't bad people because kids like me can
Good.
get targeted for creepy people. But like I had a really good junior high pastor and high school pastor. They were just good men, and you might not like their religion or whatever, but they were good people and they were
Yeah.
safe people. And
I
it's
had like good
yeah,
men that were in church with me as well. Like that's I think that
yeah,
yeah, like they also impacted me. Yeah.
yeah. So like sometimes like you can kind of hodgepodge like what things ought to be and kind of go, well, that's how it should be, kind of thing.
Well, I did think it was interesting. So there's like so it's old psychological research, but like new studies have come out about because there's been like new reiteration of like when they do what is it a cross sectional something something where it's like they go back to the same people and ask them over and over again. Um, and basically it kind of turns out that like if you have like a relatively like if you have fucked up parents but like you go to like a good school that has like a relatively like good school experience where you've got like good teachers and like good
Hmm.
or maybe like a good church um like the kids are fucking resilient and you might turn out okay and you might go to like a really fucked up like culty ass fucking church but like if you have like good parents or like a good like sibling unit that's like a really healthy like good sibling unit like you might turn out okay.
Yeah, there's so many
um
factors to all that. Yeah.
it's just like when you like grow up in like kind of like a fucked up home life and then like you whatever like your primary like source of like out of the home you know that type of socialization also is fucked up, then like you really kind of run the risk of having
When I worked in church, we served a poor neighborhood, and you know how Methodists love to, serve the poor, and like I gotta give them props. They do a better job than the Baptists do. Like they really do. They will forgo like a sound system or some fancy church and focus into serving people, which is I prefer that.
we had a
And
Methodist church here that like met in like the like addition wing of a different fucking church. It was like,
yeah,
hey, this is their like activity wing. It's like we're just
yeah. Well, you question yourself, do I pour money into this building or do I pour money into service, kind of thing. And
yeah.
sometimes it's not an either or, but when you're small, it could be an either or. But I think my point was, oh God, what was my point? There was a point somewhere.
Sorry, I cut you off and I just
What
corrected
was
you.
it? Yeah, sometimes I'm bad. I'm like Dory like in that way.
But the Methodists give better. They're more giving as far as like charity type shit than like the
Yeah,
Baptist.
generally, yeah. And they were the ones that supported welfare in the 1930s. They were a big push for that. And um
I liked the Presbyterians that were like not out here, but the
mhm. Yeah, some
it seemed like they
Presbyterians and some
legitimately.
Methodists are progressive.
Of course, now there was that. Do you remember the TikTok, the formula lady when people's like SNAP benefits got cut off? I think she tried calling some Methodist and Baptist and Presbyterian churches also, and they also like fucking told her tough shit
She
basically.
doesn't tell you what denomination all of them are, but one of them where the nice guy was really, really nice, he's Church of God, which is an offshoot of the Methodist Church. So like they won't tell you that, but Church of God, not the cult Church of God, because there is a cult called Church of God, but the non-cult Church of God, that one that's kind of based out of Indiana, that one started out of the holiness movement, and the holiness movement is connected to the Methodist Church. So a lot of times Church of God can do things in conjunction with the Methodist Church, and even though the Methodists are more into ritual and a little closer to Catholic, just a tad. So they are a little bit. Church of God's weird. They have some Pentecostal stuff in there. Um, and so like they're kind of an interesting mix. But yeah, Church of God does focus similar to the Methodist Church on the poor. And so like I was not surprised when he was like, "Oh, what can I do for you?" Like open up his own pocket. Because a lot of times the people at church go, "I don't have money. I'm going to pull out of the funds. How do I do this?" And they'll say no. And he was going to pull it out of his own pocket, you could tell. Like I could just tell
Yeah.
that was he was gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it literally sounded he was literally reaching into his own pocket. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
got $20 bill. Like, how much is it?
And I think every moth that they called also said yes. But let me tell you about this. So
While you do that, I have to take a piss.
sure.
Sorry. I'm sitting here
I have
crying.
a theory. It comes from Protestant work ethic, which is bullshit, and it's been ingrained in this for years. So since the Irish and Italians came over here, kind of thing, and there was this thing called Protestant work ethic, and it had an impact. And even Mark Driscoll, who's a pastor, brought it up just recently in a short. I was like, oh my gosh. And he's talking about how we need to work 60 hours a week and we shouldn't have 2 days off. I mean, it's just madness because Protestant work ethic. Mark Driscoll is terrible. He's super misogynist, and Uni Rock likes him, just so you know. But but he was like complaining, and you're seeing more of this Protestant work ethic kind of nonsense coming, even from Ben Shapiro, who's a Jew, and he's like, you shouldn't retire because it's better for you to work until you die, kind of thing. And you're like, oh, that's good for you, Mister Soft Hands. All you do is do talks and you do some travel and you talk on the radio, but tell that to somebody that's a carpenter. Tell that to somebody that does flooring and they've shattered their body over the years, that they should be doing that at 70. I'm sorry, no. So there's a lot of that circulating around and it's had roots. And I think it
I
kind of
agree.
comes from that Protestant work ethic nonsense. Like I think it comes from that.
Yeah,
And so
I
they
can
they
see
become
that.
anti welfare as a
I
result
think
too.
there's also this thing that's happening where we realize that like people are getting older and older and like just by like the sheer fact that they are staying alive longer, they require more resources.
For
And
now, those are
right.
boomers. We're actually slated to live less. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
That's I'm gonna live to be 100. So
Supposedly, they said that Gen X and millennials have had so much pollution in comparison to boomers that they think that the chemicals that we have around us are going to have an effect. That's going to have a negative effect.
yeah. That is why when I say I'm
I
gonna live
mean,
to be 100, that is like both a promise and a threat to myself. That's like
like,
why I like get up and like exercise. Because like I'm gonna live to be 100. Like I'd rather not like be in pain for decades.
yeah, you and I have had like microplastics in our body for most of our lives.
Pretty much our entire lives.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean,
And
I think I was
boomers have
breastfed,
not.
so like probably my whole life.
Yeah. But boomers were more affected by things like asbestos and well,
Lead.
lead was also Gen X too. Yeah.
Um,
Don't
yeah.
eat paint, guys.
Okay,
Don't eat
but
paint.
so here's the other thing that I was getting at is that I think that there is people realizing that like we're gonna have to do something with the people that are the old people
Yeah.
when they're not
And
the
I think
dead people.
and I think the
And
plan is that we die. That's what I think their plan is. That's what I think billionaires' plans are.
well, I think they're trying to get us to keep working.
Right. Like Ben Shapiro, which like as your body breaks,
That's
you're
what I'm
just
saying.
supposed to
I was
keep going.
listening to you. I was on the
Yeah.
pisser, but I had my headphones.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah,
But those
uh,
same people that want to keep us working are anti-welfare on every turn.
yeah, that's why they want us to keep working because they don't want to give us welfare.
Like Ben Shapiro,
Shapiro.
Lord help him, man, that guy. He's actually considered our moderate now because the window has shifted. So you might not feel like he's very moderate, but as Republicans go now, he's better than Matt Walsh. He's better than Trump at this point, in my opinion. But he is a Zionist though.
I mean, he was
But
always like better than fucking that. Like he was always better than Trump, but like
right,
he's
that's a
still
low
Ben
bar.
Shabibo.
But but Ben Shapiro, there's this video where he's like against school lunches, which is the most ridiculous thing in my opinion. Like kids cannot learn if they can't eat. And he's like, that's a waste and it should go on to the parents. And he's like, it doesn't take that much to feed your kids. You feed your kids before you. Well, Ben, like, how is a parent going to work if they don't have fuel? Like, this is like a circular thing. Like, you can feed your kids, I guess, like, which a lot of parents do. They sacrifice and they feed their kids before them, but they also have to work, and that requires sustenance. Like it's a circular problem. And he's like, and if they don't feed their kids, well, there's always CPS. CPS has enough to do than
Right?
manufactured problems that we cause.
Right? Because we can't be bothered to like give a fuck. And the thing about it is, like, there was one that happened recently around here, and I'm not going to say where it is. It wasn't in this state, but it was in a nearby state where this grandmother, who was literally her grandkids went to the school and she was a lunch lady, she got fucking fired for like not charging kids that didn't have money on their account and then just like writing up an IOU. And if they couldn't pay it, then like she paid it. Like there was multiple times when she like took money
Mhm.
out of her own to make sure that the register, cleared at the end of the week.
Right.
But like she was like they got caught her basically and she got fired. And they like tried to say that it was like that she was giving kids food to her grandkids. She's like, I did give food to my grandkids, but I like also gave food to like other kids, and like it's ridiculous. But she's like, yeah, like I did wrong. And like there's an interview with her where she's like being very fucking sweet about it. But the thing that I think is fucking ridiculous, and like one of the lunch ladies who was like from the school like pointed out in like the comments who like I'm like, lady, you should not be commenting this shit. Um, um on Facebook. Sorry. It's like they throw away literal like trash cans worth of food every day.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
why
They
should a
always make
child
more than
go
they need
hungry
because, yeah.
when they throw away trash cans worth of food every day?
Listen, I believe in separation of church and state, but I agree with James Tallarico. You cannot call this a Christian nation if you don't do what Jesus asked you to do. And
Exactly. What would Jesus do?
one of the parables Jesus talks about is the rich man and Lazarus, not the dead Lazarus that gets zombified, but the other Lazarus that goes to hell. And it's a parable. And the rich man is like sitting at his table, num 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 num, and then there's dogs under the table, and a beggar comes and is trying to eat the scraps that they threw on the ground, and they're like, "Go away, you dog!" And then the beggar dies of starvation, and the beggar ends up at Abraham's bosom, which people think is Sheol, which is like the holding place, like kind of in between. It's like people use that as an argumentation of why if there's a purgatory, but anyway, he ends up in this holding place, and there's a ravine, and across the ravine he sees the rich man. The rich man dies. I don't remember why. He dies of something, and he ends up going to hell. And he's like, let me warn my brothers about this. And they're like, no, you're in hell. And then he's like, I'm thirsty, just put a drop on my tongue. And they're like, no, you're in hell. And the whole parable is basically like, um the point is like, if you are unwilling to help the poor, then God's unwilling to help you. That kind of thing. And it's a pretty harsh judgment, and then there's a harsh
That's
judgment in Matthew 25 too.
that's I have often said like modern Christians better hope that the Bible isn't real. Like
The
they
evangelicals
better
have been really sucked into basically a death cult in America, in my opinion. um and they're focused in on the rapture, which is bad theology. That's only 200 years old in a 2000-year religion. The rapture, it's fabricated in the 1800s. And they're like, I'm not going to even be here when the world goes to hell. And like, so like, what of it if there's Armageddon and a nuclear war? They're going to be raptured. What of it if they meddle with
exactly.
Israel and they're Zionists and they install and they build a temple? That's what they want to happen. They think that'll make the end of the world happen earlier. And that's what concerns me about their politics, is if that's your view, which is really whacked out, you want us to go into them times on purpose, and I think it doesn't count if you do it on purpose.
Well, okay, so
Like,
that so to me, like that is like there is that level of like the fucked upness, but I think that there's also this level that's like happening that's like not quite to that level. And I think that a lot of them like don't even necessarily believe in the rapture. But it's this very sort of like hateful message of like, well, if I'm like fucking hateful to you, like I will like ensure my passage into heaven by like telling you how horrible you are and treating you terrible for being queer or trans or
the scapegoat.
whatever or whatever scapegoat exactly.
LGBTQ people are scapegoats for straight
Un-
Christians that do a lot of sexual sinning. I cannot tell you over and over again how many people that were like so hardcore against LGBTQ people, but then they slept with the person they were counseling, or they cheated on their wife, or they said divorce was bad and they ended up with two divorces in the end. And I'm not saying like divorce is always like a sin or bad or whatever, like, but I'm just saying within that culture, they
well,
they really
also
want
like
someone
sleeping
to be
with
worse
multiple
than them.
people is not a sin. Let's be clear
Yeah,
here, all right? Like there's nothing wrong with sleeping
but
with as many
but
consenting adults as you want to sleep with, okay?
but with the evangelicals there is, right? So within their belief system, right? It's really hypocritical.
We're not going to
It's
shame
very
people for that
hypocritical.
here, okay?
No, but
Stick
I'm
it
saying within their belief
wherever
system.
people want it.
Within their belief system. Right? I'm pointing out hypocrisy, not necessarily the morality of it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Sorry.
just so you know. So
Um, but yes, Aunt Jared made a really good point earlier. We um like foster when kids are foster kids, we recognize that like they have fucking needs.
yeah,
How come? How come we don't recognize that they have fucking needs like before that? We have to get
yeah.
CPS involved for like people to recognize and like put them with
And none of these Christians are adopting. There's 500,000 or close to that of kids in foster care or ready for adoption, and they're not volunteering for fostering. They're not, they're not, and it's like I think
to be
I
fair,
think
it's hard.
well, yeah,
There's
of
so many
course it's
fucking
hard.
folks.
Yeah. But like they
And
think it's
and
so
then there's still
easy when
people
they
that like
chant adoption is an answer.
that's true. Also, to be clear, like foster should not be like a like a substitute for adoption. Like that's
Yeah.
not they're not the same thing. And I think that far too often that people get like they're like, oh, we got denied for fostering or whatever. We're gonna or denied for adoption. We're gonna like foster, and it's
Hmm.
like that can work in some situations, but like that is not what fostering is for.
Yeah.
Like that's not like fostering is like for a temporary situation because like this kid's parents can't take care of them. So like you're gonna
Some of
take
them
care of
are
the kid.
temporary and some of them are permanent, and it's hard to tell. And so what's hard is the attachment thing. When you adopt, most people that are good people attach to their kids, right? Like they're
Yes.
you're my kid, I love you. Even if they have a biological kid, I love you. You're my kid. But fostering, there's always the back of the mind, even if you love them as your kid, they might go away, kind of thing. And that's really
Yeah.
hard. And yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
part's hard.
absolutely that is and I think that that's hard for the kid also, especially when you're
Right.
like immediately like, "Oh, you can call me mom, you can call me" like that's not okay for that kid,
Hmm.
I think a lot. Now,
Yeah.
no, I think that the foster situation is different for like some people in like different countries. So like I'm just saying for like here,
USA.
especially
Yeah.
in Missouri, in and in states that also have laws, which I feel like it's more than half of 50 states that have laws where like basically there is no limit on how many times a bio parent can file to have their kids back and until if up until they like sign away their rights. But if they never sign away their rights, it doesn't matter how many convictions they have for whatever fucking crime, they can still file to have them. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that you need to keep that in mind when you are going down the road of like foster care. That a lot of times it is situations where the parents are like in the legal system and it may get to a point where you don't agree with whatever state it is allowing them to continue to file to get their rights back, but it doesn't matter because that's their parents. And you might
Yeah.
be more of a parent to that kid than their bio parents, but according to the state, it doesn't matter. And I think that too many people go into that situation thinking, "Oh, this is just going to be like a speed dating situation where I find my soon to be forever child that I do adopt, that I eventually
Mm.
do foster to adopt." And then that's not what the system is for. Okay?
I
That's
always
not what
thought
you're
if I
doing.
was a, I always thought if I was a foster parent, and we just aren't financially stable for it. Like I'm open to the idea of it. It's just there's some complicated things, and now I'm old. But
There's so
but if
much
I
things with the
was
house is really the thing for me right now, but yeah.
but if I was the foster, I'd actually pick an older kid. But there's so many fears about it and stuff like that that like people go, well, what if he gets in trouble? What if he gets arrested? Or what if she, well, I knew somebody that fostered a kid who broke every cabinet in the kitchen in a rage.
That happens.
And and you know what they did? They ditched her. And it broke my heart because at the time I was a youth leader and I was thinking, she's got like psychological issues and now you just are one more person that dumped her, you know? And like that stuff's just really awful. That's really awful.
So we are going past the time that I told Spackle that we were going to get off here in like an hour and a half, but we are past this. I do want to like stop on this for a minute because GeoSam, like I know like you're a reasonable dude, and I know that this seems like a thing that is like you hear this and it's like, yeah, that's reasonable. But here's the thing about like American schools and our public school system is that it is set up as a daycare for children. And it's set up as like daycare and basically like career training that
Yes.
that and that is what our system has been set up as for long fucking time since like
That's why they're
like
not interested in teaching critical thinking. They just want you to be a drone.
that's like what our system is based on. And as someone who's like going to school to become a teacher, like this is like, you know what I mean? I get that it is frustrating, but also I realize that we sort of still have that need for that. And and almost have a need for that more than when that went into effect during the common school era. Because now we have two parents that both need to be working outside of the house. And instead of working 40 hours a week, they need to be working 60 hours a week. And like they now literally have no time to raise their kids. Now, that's not to say that that's always the case. There's still 50% of families in America that have like a quote unquote nuclear family where dad goes to work and like mom stays home. Like that's still the case for half of kids that are in American school system. But that's not the case for all of them. And we need to keep in mind, okay, maybe not like the lower, like the 1% at the bottom when we're making policies for general, you know what I mean? But we need to keep in mind the outer edges of that bell curve, right? Of where people are in their situation. And we need to recognize that there are millions of kids who are in that situation where literally their parents are they go home to an empty house and they don't see their parents and they get basically raised by siblings. That happens to a lot of people. So, yes, you're right that people do treat the public school system like daycare because it's set up that way. And if
Yeah.
we want to do something about it, we need to really start at the source, which is okay, how are we going to give people a livable wage where they don't need to be working outside the house where minimum wage 40 hours a week is enough to support a family so that somebody can be in the home
There's
and taking
another
care of
piece to that. Like every the bar always keeps raising along with us, right? Like like women broke kind of the ceiling when World War II happened and women started working in the factory. And so more and more women started working. It kind of stayed that way and it got more and more and more and more and more. And the boomers are really the first generation where mom and dad are at work. And then there's latchkey kids. And then Gen X was like, we do what we want and kind of got wild. And so uh
Y'all got literally sent home. I know not you because you were homeschooled, but like there were kids in my class, which I was like kind of that last class where we
Hmm.
got told like you are Gen X, but then like we got older and they're like, just kidding.
I'm a
Um,
Zennial. I'm a Zennial. I'm the last year of Gen X. I'm in the last few months of Gen X because I'm in
it
October,
depends on who counts it because it actually
right?
like changes by about 4 years. So,
No, I'm a Zennial. Like I'm Gen X, like millennial. Like like they're like some sociologists are saying like there's a hybrid like
I know what you
between.
mean. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, like they literally got sent home with like a lanyard with a key on it, and like that
yeah.
was
Well, I was left for home, and it was normal. And like my siblings were in charge because they're a little bit older, and we would walk to the store. I needed some milk and some this and that and the other, and we would have a loaf of bread, like it was like the Sesame Street, a loaf of bread, a stick of butter, like thing. And that was not abnormal because that was like just a couple blocks. It wasn't like a big deal. Yeah,
yeah.
there's some shady people here and there, but like for the most part, like you were okay. And and we would be jumping off roofs and all sorts of weird stuff. But
We didn't do
but
that
like
shit.
oh,
We
oh
did
yeah.
okay, we got into other shit though, like now that I'm thinking about it. So we were
My
also
my
bad kids.
my brother wanted to play Tarzan and I was supposed to hold like it was one of those flat hoses. I was supposed to hold the flat hose and well, I accidentally let go and he broke his arm. Ta-da! Like, it's my bad. But I felt bad. I didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident. but
I don't think
but
I
you
ever
know,
had anybody's arm broken. Well, besides my own, like yeah.
yeah. But the school system is, I mean, like I guess I can't speak to it. I speak to it as an outside observer. Um, I feel like there's on purpose things that the government is intentionally broken in public education, and they know better.
Yeah.
And they know there are better ways. We see that there are better ways in Denmark. Denmark has a lot better grades now. They have less violence in their schools, all sorts of things, right? And by violence, I
Definitely
mean fighting and not
improved.
guns. Let's go, to that. Why is that? Well, they're teaching empathy at a young age. They're teaching critical thinking skills. We don't do that. We don't have critical thinking skills. In fact, if you're a critical thinker, you might be a bad guy. you
So
know?
here's the interesting part about this aspect of it is that they are now like teaching us these things in school for to teach to the kids, but it's still like standardized testing every fucking year. It's more standardized testing than like even after No Child Left Behind. They fucking ramp that shit up.
And
And
there's so
I
many
kind of
smart people that do bad on tests too. That's the other factor.
it's just like the teachers can't teach besides teaching to the standardized test anymore. They can't.
Yeah.
The curriculum is the test.
Yikes.
And it's not okay. And like the fact that like kids don't read books, like I will start on my like tangent about like kids don't read books, but like anybody who is like 30 or older, like you remember like all of the books that you read growing up in elementary
Hmm.
school.
Yeah.
Now kids graduate from high school, go talk to an 18 to 20-year-old, they they never read like a book. Like unless they were like a kid who enjoyed reading and like went
You
and
guys
picked
don't
up a
do
book
book
on their
reports
own.
anymore?
No. Like not like a whole book. No.
Wow,
They
that's horrible.
will so like they have to teach them like they have to learn soliloquy for the test. So they will do the a portion of this that and this is how we teach soliloquy. And then we need to do irony. So we're going to do this portion of this where we're going to teach irony and we're going to
So
do
they're
like a
just oh my gosh, we're teaching Cliff Notes now.
yes. Yes. They do like that's the thing is and then they get to college and they're like I can't read a book. I've never read a book. A whole book? These are people with a high school diploma. Never read a book. I shit you not. It sounds like I'm joking. Like to people who are like over 30, it sounds like I'm joking. Like, no, I'm not. They've never read a book.
That's horrific. That's scary. Like that's
Yeah, they've
wrong.
never had
No wonder
required
why.
summer reading.
We want people to be
I am
dumb.
sad that your kids like to read. Yes.
They
Yeah.
they want people to be dumb. I'm telling you. And then it's so obvious now that they're breaking it on purpose. They installed somebody to dismantle the education department from the top, and that's going to affect rural communities. And guess what? Those rural communities like Arkansas and Florida have opened up to your kid can work all sorts of hours now. Look at that.
Yep.
Yay.
Yep.
Because
He
who
doesn't
wants
need
to do
he
any
can go
book
ahead and get
learning
his
anyway?
he can get his work experience before he graduates high school now because he's gonna fucking need it because he's not gonna get a proper fucking education. He's never gonna fucking read a book. He's not. And also, here's the part that is ironic and weird to me. And then we're gonna get off of here because this is not related to like cults at all. It's just like my soapbox
Yeah.
about like, the
Yeah, the
administration.
AI stuff is terrible too. Yeah.
Um, but so kids these days, and like I noticed this. I don't know if Math Thing is still in the chat, but like I noticed this with his kid. Um, like kids these days, and it has been documented that the youngest generation literally reads more words than any kids of any generation, right? Before they get to school,
Be-
they have read
because of
more
texting,
words because of
because of texting
texting,
and
because of
everything.
screens, because of advertisements, because of graphic tees, because of like everything. Like literally, like our parents didn't wear graphic tees, but like think of like how many like graphic tees that like our like the young kids these days see on like a regular basis. Anytime that they go out, they see screens everywhere. They see you go for pizza and there's a screen with it has like, captions at the bottom of it.
They keep
It's
they keep claiming that they
constantly
can't read. They keep claiming that this generation doesn't read, but how
their
can they not read?
literacy rates are like tanking because they can't concentrate on a thought that's
Comprehend.
more than like 260 characters. It's just like the screens are like crack to their little brains.
Yeah.
And then the second that like you detach them from the crack, they can't like you give them a paper test and tell them to fill in a scantron and like they can't like lock in. And it's not their fault. Like literally they will say these things. Like when I say they can't lock in, that's because I've heard a kid say that. Where it's like I can't lock in, right? Um and that's like because
I
they're
think it's on purpose.
all is not lost. I hope all is not lost because I do see things on the horizon that sound really neat. Like I had for one of my classes this past week, we had to like do a report on this different and the one that I ended up with was like the like AI like VR headset things, which I chose to ignore the AI aspect of it because I'm like, that's gonna probably completely change in the next few years anyway. But the idea of like having an AI headset where like I can like tell my students to like, hey, today we're like gonna go on a field trip into like the tombs of Egypt and we're gonna like go look at these fucking ancient hieroglyphs and like you can like walk around in the tomb and like feel, you know what I mean? Like that
Hmm.
to be able to give that experience to a kid, that's an experience that I had as a teenager because I was really, 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 really fortunate that I had somebody who fucking took me to Egypt, right? But to be able to give that experience to a kid without like them having to fucking like get on a plane and like, you know what I mean? And like all the expense of that shit, like
Hmm.
that is amazing. I think that those
That's
things are really
cool.
promising and really amazing.
But they're
But
going to use it for instead of going down to like in my case it's Balboa Park with the museum and you go to the Museum of Man or whatever. What I'm afraid is they're going to not do that stuff. That they're going to trade it off. And like I see the positive of what you're saying, but I also see how lazy not necessarily teachers are, but the people who are up above them, the administration sometimes
I
like
get what you're saying.
districts.
Like so like
Yeah.
places like the Hokia Mounds, like there's not gonna be
Mhm.
as many like field trips and shit out there, which
Mhm.
is by the way is our oldest North American settlement. And it is not that far
Yeah.
from me. I've been a few times and it's fucking awesome. Fucking go if you're ever in the area. I know that it's like like about an hour out of the way drive from if you're like driving by St. Louis. It's not right there, but it is worth it. Um, but yeah, I get what you're saying that it's like the teachers might say, "Oh, you know what? It's too expensive to go to Coquille Mounds. Let's just give them the VR headset."
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm worried about is because those real life experiences are so important too, and you need both. I think you can
yes,
take advantage of the technology, but you definitely need both. My friend, one of my best friends is a psychologist, and she limits her kids' screen time, and now one of them's in a freshman in high school, which I cannot believe that. It's just madness. But because their screen time is limited, they play outside more. Because
yeah.
their screen time is limited, they read books, you know,
They used to read so much. They have limited screen time, and they just like to read or
yeah.
do
So
art. Like,
parents almost need to be taught to regulate that. Like, and they're not taught to regulate. Some of them are just like, oh, just I'm so tired from work. Here's a screen, you know, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
well, and to be fair, like I, as a kid, I'm sure that I did drive my parents like kind of nuts when it would have been so much easier for them to be like, can you put on your fucking headphones and watch that screen quietly when I was like sitting there like playing my fucking recorder or like learning how to play the violin because I wanted to.
Recorder. Everybody's like, not the recorder.
Well, I feel like the people mostly have visceral memories. I feel like I was probably worse with the violin because it can be like so much more like out of tune. But yeah, I feel like everybody has that visceral memory of the recorder and being like, "Oh my god!" And like, I feel bad for my mom. She fucking went through that shit, right? Like both my parents. But yeah, like
Dude, we watched Mr. Wizard in the 80s and we started trying to do those experiments. Can you imagine? You
no, because I didn't watch Mr. Wizard. But
didn't
the
watch
thing that I
Mr.
got
Wizard.
into
Mr.
with my
Wizard was a jerk.
report, my school report, is that I feel like we're still at a point where we're not on an even playing field where like kids do not like this is like the one thing that I was looking at because it was a report from a company that was like trying to get people, on the bandwagon of like using these VR headsets. They specifically like talked about like charter schools and private schools and like how are charter schools and private schools and paid. Okay, well, what about fucking public schools? Like, what about like the other like 90%?
I mean, the whole push
Like
to going to,
the
did you
80s.
see, look at I don't know how Missouri is, but Texas, I've been paying attention to because I know somebody from Texas that's spamming because she's in academia. So she's spamming all the terrible things Texas is doing. And one of the things is they're basically robbing the public school system with vouchers to private schools. They passed it, and it's like, are you kidding me?
It's I
And these rich
again,
kids don't need the help. Their parents are already able to pay the
like,
tuition. That's the thing.
yep, it's gonna go to some kid that could his family could pay the tuition.
Like Elon Musk, like James Tallarico pointed out that Elon Musk can get um, uh, a partially paid or vouchers for his 20 kids or whatever because the law doesn't state like a limit in income. It's ridiculous. And they call that fair.
That's there absolutely should be a limit in income, and it should be like a tiered, you know what I mean? Where it's like depending on how many people apply in XYZ tiers, that's what percentage of people should get XYZ.
And
Like
they're gonna create a whole new problem. They're gonna create a whole new class problem, which I think they think they're gonna solve with factory workers and farm workers. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna have people that are just gonna go rogue. What's gonna happen, because like if you don't give
didn't you
people
guys
the
read
tools
Brave
to
New World?
survive, they're gonna figure it out some other way. What's
Yeah,
up?
exactly. I said, didn't you guys read Brave New World? But
Yeah,
I was being sarcastic. Also,
yeah.
these kids didn't because they've never read a book.
As we go back, they never read a book. There needs to be Reading Rainbow, but they killed PBS. They can't revive Reading Rainbow on PBS because they killed it. Like Arkansas's like, let's get rid of PBS first thing. We're like one of the poorest states, but we don't want public television.
Okay, we are going on 2 hours. And I think 30 minutes of this has been like a rant on the school system. I love you, public schools. Mwah. Pay your taxes.
Pay your
I
taxes,
love
make
you
the world a better
all.
place.
Pay your taxes, make the world a better place. Goodbye, internets.
Stripes are up the
And we
straight.
will see you next time.